Hey, welcome
So,
guys on the podcast live file, and we're glad to have you. Nick, do you want to say anything?
yo, what's up, guys? This is Nick H1Z1, and I'm on JP's podcast right now. And we'll flip it over to Cody. What's going on, Cody?
Hey everyone, so I'm just here right now recording audio to get a kind of glimpse into what true intent and beliefs mean and how we can discuss more on it in an open topic that is wrong. Basically, us being descriptive, us being in depth on a conversation that we need to have. So, hope everyone's joining. So, let's move it to Mr. Nick.
Right. So basically, I'm gonna say this right now, guys. Everybody screws up on a podcast. Everybody screws up, right? If we say anything, like if we mess up or anything, it's good. It's all good. So, but
Yeah, it's
anyway,
our
we're here to
first
talk about
podcast, so
we're talking about topics of God. So, like JP, what do you want to ask us first, dog?
so we're gonna talk about God today. Talking about God. It's gonna be a part 1 and maybe a part 2 series, like an
Yeah.
episode. So
JP, let me ask you something first. What do you know about God? I'm gonna start it off with what do you know about God.
So, I think God is my creator, and God's always come first because He sacrificed His one and only Son for our sins, and
Mhm.
nobody is willing to do that besides Him. Everybody loves their children, no matter what or who they're meant to be. No, everybody loves their children, so I'm surprised that he actually did that for us.
Yeah.
Nick, who do
Yo,
you
what's up?
think? Who? What do you picture God in your mind?
What
Like
do I
what?
picture God in my mind?
Like
Well,
what do you imagine
well,
God to be like in the future? Like
to
who?
be like,
Yeah.
okay. So first, I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna answer your question in two answers. You know,
Okay.
number one, the Bible says, well, you can picture what he's like, but you can't really picture what he looks like because I'm gonna break
Yeah.
it down for you. In the Bible, it says that you're not supposed to paint any pictures of God, what God looks like, because we actually don't know what it looks like until we get to the end point destination. But to answer your question more clearly, secondhandly, we picture him as like he's great, he's awesome, he's amazing. He actually
Yeah.
created us, he put us on this earth, and he did everything for us. His son died on the cross. You know, if I'm being honest with you, man. But yeah, we can actually pretty much picture what he's like, and that's what I love about that. So, but
Okay.
yeah, I can actually picture him what he's like. Which
Yeah.
is really cool.
So who do you? Okay. So you was a Christian for all your life. Am I right or am I wrong, Nick?
So like, well,
Like,
explain.
were you a Christian follower or like a God, like Christian follower?
So you said you just said if I'm a Christian follower
Like, do you
or if I'm a
believe, do you believe in Christ for all your life? Or the,
have I believed in Christ all my life?
yes,
The question is no. When I was 3 years old, I started learning about God, right?
yeah,
But it wasn't until when I was like maybe 6 or 7 until I really gave my life to God. I guess like that
yeah,
was at the time where I started to know right from wrong. So I started to think about it, and then yeah, I started to like go like more step instead of stepping 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I stepped 2 feet, into
yeah,
faith.
yeah,
And so from then on, it's both 2 feet in faith, man. Full
yeah,
power, full power
yeah,
rockets, both 2 feet. That
yeah,
explains it the best.
yeah. Um,
Ask ask Cody the same question if he wants to answer. If
Cody,
he doesn't want to answer, it's okay.
Cody,
So this discussion won't be able to be answered by myself. I am not able to, everyone. So John, how about you on the topic?
me. I wasn't like a real Christian follower. until like I went to a Christian school. I mean, I knew God. I didn't know everything about him. Like, I didn't go to church every Sunday. I went to like maybe once a year or something. Now I go to a Christian school, learning about him every single day, or learning more about him every single day. And I go to church every Sunday. I do not skip.
Yeah,
I do not skip.
that's awesome.
And I
dude.
go
No,
for like maybe 3 or 4 hours every Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, if you can go 3 hours every Sunday, dude, that's actually really good. If you can even go any more hours than that, that would be even better. You know what I'm saying? Because getting more than just one day is even better and even better. And
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
went
get closer to
from no
God.
church, no God in my life to 3, maybe 4 hours a week.
Huh?
Maybe like three or 4 hours a week for the past 2 months.
Yeah, dude, that's girl. I'm gonna ask you a very well. I don't know if this is a personal question, but JP, you've had how many? I want this is related to God. Okay, how
Okay.
many surgeries have you had in the past 10 years?
I had 2 in my life.
So
In my
both
life.
heart, right?
Yes.
The fact that you have the fact that I'm gonna not act like a robot here because I'm talking so
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have the ability, the fact that God has given you an ability to still be alive, and the fact that to like be a normal human being is astounding. Like, it's absolutely amazing that you've gone through 2 surgeries and you're still here, dude.
So
Yeah,
basically,
I went
plus
from
Especially
six
and it's
compared
and it's
to,
not just any surgery; it's a heart surgery. Two of them, not
if
one,
not
two.
active plus 4.
Literally,
yeah.
bro.
But
I
you should
went
have a
from
pretty
almost
low,
dying
like, cooldown
to going to
on
church,
abilities
going
into
to a
it.
Christian
Energizer,
school,
don't
going to a
forget,
gym,
don't underestimate
going
the
to
20%
basketball
cooldown reduction of
practice,
the
and
expertise too.
doing
So
my
when we combine
art.
those
Yeah,
together,
yeah. Basketball
charge
practice,
might
bro. I
literally
see
be
you be hitting it, bro, in the
charge.
gym, man, bro. You be going
Also,
crazy
it
on
seems
them
to kill
20
us,
and
right?
25s,
With
dog. I've
multitude,
been
yeah.
seeing you in the gym.
Well,
I couldn't
Converse
go
upgrade
Friday
to
because,
Bioboomer, I
like,
guess. And
I
this
had
thing
to
will
study.
be so much better because, well,
Yeah.
I had to
in case you
skip
can't
because
see
I had
by
to
the screen
study.
here,
But
it also
back
does
on the
extra damage
topic,
on
what
plus
what
ones,
other
but that's not
questions
it.
are we going on
The
about
attack
here,
speed
my
we're
guy?
looking at.
Okay,
Obviously, that skill's
I
better than,
made
like,
some
additive damage
questions
buffs where we're talking about
like
it
on a
already having
podcast.
so much other
Yeah,
damage
yeah.
buffs. And fun fact, this
You wanna
Bioboomer
go
almost shoots
to
3
them?
times as fast when you upgrade to
Oh yeah, heck yeah,
020
bro. Let's
to
do them.
030.
Yeah,
Okay.
we already started.
That's pretty massive.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
for
I also forgot
okay,
to
first
mention that,
question.
well, if you didn't see
Who
in the
is
previous
God?
one, I've added a new DPS counter,
Who
so
is God?
it's easier for you guys to
so-
see
Who is him?
just how
Who
much
is
damage
God?
we're doing. I think on a single
So
target,
this is gonna be a little bit
Bioboomer was doing like 400,
factual within a
500.
mix of
So in case
my
you're ever curious
own.
about just how much
I can't
damage
really
we're
say
doing,
my own opinion because it
without
has
me
to be
needing to say
directly
it
from
or
the
estimate
Bible.
it, then
Because everybody
just
has
take a look at the
different
top right
views.
corner
It
and
has to
Yeah.
be
you
direct
will
from the
be
Bible. So
satisfied
to answer your
with your
question,
request.
that
I think
who
I'm
is God?
seeing 10k at high speed.
God
That's before
is
Navy gets pierce
a
caps.
God is the most
Then we have
powerful
potential for
form
more. Again, I'm pretty
that
sure
you can
230
think
will give
of.
us
He is.
more DPS.
I
given,
guess I
like,
put it
rounds
in the
like this, where
words
there's, like,
in the Catholic
so
way.
many
He is
ZMDs.
the
Yeah, you don't
most
see the
powerful
rank loop around.
person
That means
to ever be around,
you're hitting the pierce
which
cap.
is the Son of God.
It looks like
Jesus. He was
032
the
is
most
just barely enough to
powerful
beat this round. I
guy,
probably could have done a bit of
physical
micro,
human
like
being
left
to
and
be
right
on
hand.
the earth
Kind of makes a big difference when
2,023
we're
years
talking
ago.
about boomerangs
If
here
that makes sense.
and
dude.
maximize potential. Also, if
You
you're
know
just
what I
looking
mean?
at the next upgrade
Yeah,
turbocharge,
yeah, I get it.
this doesn't actually make
Cody,
the
do you
Bioboomer
wanna
itself
answer
better.
that
Like,
question?
that is, if you buy it and don't use the ability, it's literally the exact same as the
Absolutely
Bioboomer.
cannot
Once you
answer
have
that
the ability up, well,
Okay,
it
it's
obviously
fine.
shoots a lot
Okay,
faster. The exact actually
Sensic
does
question.
7 times the
Did
amount of
God
attack speed, which
create evil?
was pretty crazy because I thought, well, I didn't think it was
Did
that
God
much, but
create
turns out it
evil?
really
So
is that strong. Of course, the
God
problem is that you can't have it all the time.
didn't
So
necessarily.
I don't think that will, or
create
rather,
it.
the
It was brought
uptime of that
upon
ability
Satan
is going to be the
himself.
deal
Because
breaker.
if
Don't
you
forget.
remember, JP,
So we're really going to need to
reading in
manage
the
our
Bible,
abilities well,
right?
If
you
we want to
remember
see
hearing
how long
the
it survives
stories,
until we get permaturge. But I'm not
Satan
going to try
used to
too hard.
be an actual
Most of the
guardian
tryharding
angel.
comes with the tier
right?
5 because I really want to see
He decided
well, how
that
far
he
it
wanted
can
to be better than
push
God.
the tier 5
Yeah.
towers and limits.
So therefore,
'Cause that's what
God
everyone's here for,
took
right?
him, put him in
Spectacle
hell,
of the
which was hell was
tier,
created by.
5. Now,
I guess
let's
you
say
could
we're actually
say
getting 600 DPS.
hell was technically
Actually, we're
created by
hitting two
God,
modes
but
at once,
Satan
so
really opened the portal
bad.
for
It's
hell
probably
by
just
trying to be
400.
better than God. So God's put him he was already under God, but God put him way lower than he really was. and Satan was one of the lead. He was one of the lead worshipers in heaven. Now he's the leader of hell. So technically, you could say that Satan really created evil and not really God. You could technically say that
Eve,
Satan did it,
because
but you know,
in my opinion, the devil is, see, he's bad, yes, but he's not the, what I've been learning, he's not the creator of evil, like sin. My teacher told me like weeks ago, months, yesterday, Eve. Eve was the creator of sin because she took the apple from the tree, and Adam looked at her and didn't stop her.
Okay, I'm gonna speak now. So, I love that
Okay.
good point you brought up there, John. I appreciate that. So, the situation we had there was a serpent. There was a serpent. That was the birth of evil in the garden. And the serpent itself was actually the pinnacle of evil. It manifested from the creation, from his God's choice. It was a choice he made to make that become real. And also with the apple, Eve chose to become consciously aware. And then from the choice of that awareness, Adam took it too, which was a debatable situation. People have argued is he himself literally manifested sin because he chose to take it from Eve's word. And Eve is meant to. She was the chaos, and he's the order, a masculine order, and like the yin and yang, chaos and order. And she was chaos, and she created technically a chaos in itself, which of course manifested him taking the apple, which manifested into them having to be taken out of paradise and heaven. That, of course, started the human creation God chose after, because he created the sin, and she created, I guess, the manifested chaos from an evil that was chosen by God. So I think it was intentional. I think it was he chose it. I think God made the serpent and gave him, he's pure evil. And that's why she ate it, because she had to protect. And I remember that part of it. And that's the main part I remember. And that is my opinion on the complete picture of it was whose intent it was. I think it was God's intent. I think that was a part of it. And in order to walk with him again, because in the garden, Adam was naked. He was naked. He walked with God until he became conscious, because he took the apple too after Eve. Because she was aware, but this is directed by Jordan Peterson himself, Dr. Peterson. I don't know if any of you know him, but Dr. Peterson talked about how she herself was not to blame. It was an intentional an intentional part of God's plan, and Adam chose it. It was a choice there for him, though, and that kind of, I would say, almost caused, well, it literally caused God to decide to take them both and put them into, I guess, what epitome of what a human is. You're consciously aware of suffering. You're consciously aware of beliefs in higher power, but you're both. You're battling both, but you're dealing with permanent suffering. He put them in that because they were self-aware. If they weren't aware, he would have kept them in paradise. So that, I think, is a whole lesson to be learned from. I actually am not exactly the guy who believes technically in the time, like 2003 or 32 years of born of Christ. or what happened, but I'm I'm a guy who reads the literature, who takes the information as of a wisdom to learn from, but there is a truth in it, and actually I do believe in him. I do believe in God. I don't believe in that these stories were a caption of something that happened in a human conscious sense. So I mean that's kind of weird and very complicated to explain, but I picture them as an example of what is true value and meaning in life for us humans to orient ourselves around, because we're consciously aware of the suffering while realizing the potential for walking with God naked again. And that's the idea of it. I have. So yeah.
Okay.
And I know that was
Thank you.
diluted, kind of like where I put certain points in it and connect them really well. And that's my point there. All right.
Oh, you're good. Thank you for sharing, Cody. Um,
Thank you.
Cody, if you want to answer back to back, you can. This really like for both of y'all, if you want to answer. I will start off with Nick first. Where did God come from? Where did God come
Where did he
from?
come? Where did
Like,
he come from?
where did he, the only one and only God, come from? I start off with me first, okay? He has no mom nor no dad. So where could he possibly come from? I mean, he's the only one that can possibly do that, but how can he do that?
Mm.
Very interesting question. It's a very difficult question. Now, you said God does not have a dad and God does not have a mom.
Based on
Now,
based on just hearing about it and learning about it from school.
just just hearing about it. So I want you to answer.
Yeah.
I want you to answer this question first.
Okay.
What time do you think did God come about? Like, how long ago do you think God came about? Just woof.
I would think like over 100 million years ago. But
So
there's no sight of evidence that God was born on 100 million years ago. Like the year is 2023, okay? It could be here 0, here 1 that he was born. Nobody really knows.
good question. Now you're now when I heard you say billions or millions, whatever you said, millions of years ago, you're kind of thinking the mindset of an evolutionist. Because if you clearly, I'm doing this based all off the Bible because you know me, I read the Bible a lot, but based off the Bible, okay, this
Okay.
was thousands of years ago. This was not millions of years ago. When you see somebody
Yeah.
on the internet say that, oh, this happened, the Earth was born billions of years ago, no, they're dead wrong. 2000, like I said a minute ago, 2023 years ago, or even earlier than that, because there was BC and there was AD. Before
Yeah.
BC, AD was before BC as well. BC before Christ. You know what that means. AD was after that. Was after death, which was after Christ. So if you look at it, BC was before Christ, so long before that, but it wasn't super long before that. It clearly says in the Bible, let me get closer here. It was a little bit before BC. That's all I can tell you because I only
So
have the limited mind of a human. I do not have an expanded infinite mind.
yeah.
Like that is a
So
very
you're
difficult question.
saying, Nick, yeah, I get you, but so you're saying that God and Christ before Christ was only okay. So he's only like 3,000 years old. At what you're saying? Like
Wait, whoa. Would you say who is 3,000 years old?
Christ, because before
Christ is
Christ.
not. Christ is not 3,000 years old.
Um,
Okay, the
He doesn't
discussion
have.
here
close.
is he's talking about Christ. And he's talking about there's an exact time based off of his biblical knowledge, and with that knowledge, I don't actually describe myself as anything to that, but I do actually think of the evolutionary thing as a truth, not as of. I think it's part of
No
God's
way.
being.
No way.
I do think, though, from any standpoint you can give, he has the most biblical knowledge and background that can be even remotely the closest answer that I could even presume, even without me going into depth, because I feel like he himself has a lot more knowledge on this. So I think it's something to look into. I keep myself personally, and John. I think also when he's discussing that, I would say he means it. He means it because he really, truly, actually believes it. And how he read other parts of it, it's explained the biblical thoughts of, or not thoughts, more so literal things he's talking about that he says are true to the extent that if it's possible that what happened in that time is possible, then there's only one explanation, he's saying. There's one explanation, and that is it. Now, I read it from a stand as I think stories are true as of people people are really actually there in that time. I think there is a time to be said there is people. Now I'm getting off topic here. Sorry, I'm
Wait, let me
having a
stop you there.
conversation. I'm having a conversation with something going on back here too, and
Yo, bro. Let me stop you there real quick. Let me ask you a question, right? You believe in. You said that the evolution of the part was true. So technically, I'm gonna ask you. You believe in evolution.
yes,
So you believe that humans evolved from apes.
no, that's not a part of the evolution. That's not the. I didn't even describe myself as that. That's a second. That's a totally different section of the scientific theory. That's totally different. No, I actually think the Big Bang was technically God, and I really do.
So,
I don't think that was at all true.
so what
Thing.
is so what is your definition of evolution if it's not humans from apes?
Evolution is something that is where you take a person. Us humans realize we've learned from the past. We have to research from the past. We take, I believe there is really dinosaurs. I believe there was evolution, whatever happened. But I think we look from the past. I see people are consciously different back then. There's thousands of years. I would say if we look back in dated time of research from scientists. Now I'm going through scientific proof. So I don't know what scientists these are to claim such it, but the things I've seen are we've had a different conscious mind back then. I do think humans had a slightly different conscious mind that was more intellectualized of fight or flight as of a physical, more mental prowess over a future self-conscious aware that helps them think more in the future. Like we plan now, we have dates, schedules. We, of course, our society. It's slight. How did that happen? How did a gap between now schedules and plans and buildings and cities now happen from a idea of fight or flight where people are much more physically strong but are also think differently. Like their minds were much more reactive. Like someone threw a phone at me. Obviously, it wouldn't be a phone; it'd be a stick or something back then. But I would know how to do something with it. And humans actually, their brains were much more coordinated differently, and they were coordinated totally different. The system and immune system was different, based off of, like I said, readings I've given from scientists. Now, that means, in such, we've not evolved from anything other than ourselves, a human. But humans, honestly, are exactly a type of creature. They're a mammal, I think. I mean, they're their own thing, though. They're totally different. I do. I truly think they're totally different. than apes. I think they're the closest relative to us in a sense of physical and a or emotional capacity to understand each other, but they're not at all connected in the evolutionary changes that were intertwined. Like, if this creature was an X chromosome, XY or something, and just pretend like an ape is an XY and it grew, and over the millions of years or something that a human was formed out of it, I don't believe it at all, no. So I think there's a difference. But there's slight variations. I'm admitting I believe in slight variations of human changes that had caused us to evolve. That's evolution in my standpoint. Evolution is something where you take a creature and they're able to always have a way to create something better in the future, while also looking at the past and taking only little bits of it to evolutionize their future, to make do to be able to build cities, to be able to think differently, but also it sacrifices maybe something like us. I believe human coordination or sacrificed certain immune system things and capabilities for like eating plants or nutrition. There's certain things like that that I would say is evolution. So it's hard to say. Like you could totally, one point I give myself is the challenge that why would I think that when how do I say all the other creatures were millions of years, and then how did humans just pop out? Like, genius, so, like, 100 IQ plus, like, creatures, much more competent creatures just pop out from a world that has much less competent creatures. And that is personally something I have to research, and I've never delved into that. So, that is an argument to be made there. So, yeah, that is definitely something I could be more prone to understand.
That was cool, bro. This man went on for like 5 minutes straight, bro. I was about to go grab some popcorn, bro.
Thank you, man.
Oh, man.
I mean,
Woo!
I think, Cody, I think you're smarter than my teacher. Not like, just from that cynics, or like, just from that thinking. Like, you know?
thank you. Seriously, I thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I know I'm going to re-articulate that much better next few times of practice. I kind of been not open to this stuff. I haven't been like trying to have conversations with this, and I love every idea and every conversation y'all both had. I think this is wonderful. And everyone in the podcast listening to this video, I will say, this is something that is not an experiment. This is where we take ourselves and we're going to evolve over time and years to come in this podcast. All of us are going to learn from each other.
And we're going to make
history. It's always going to be a growth. Like, I'm learning so much from Nick already. I'm learning so much from John, and John is doing good at hosting this. And then we're all communicating between each other, and that is why we're going to do this podcast. So everyone in this, you're going to see from now to 1 year from now, you could be looking at this, 100,000 views this video now has, and then now we got millions of views on the other ones. Just thinking, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to take us not being raw. I think we need to be true. We have to think. My principle, I've learned and started to think by going by. His name is Dr. Peterson. I referred to him earlier, but he discussed about the divine, and if you say what you are thinking on your mind to everyone you know that this is true and you truly have a gut feeling about it, and you tell everyone to the capacity that you truly believe that, like how I just explained, I believe in this step, and this step, and organize your words and say it, and you have to think about it first before you say words. That is what living by a true belief in God. Because you are expressing what you truly think as if that to be true. But that's why Joe Rogan's so popular. If we see Joe Rogan, he's explaining and asking questions on all of his content. He's always asking stupid questions. Now, people see them as stupid questions, but they also organize and question for the audience to think for themselves. Because when he asks those questions, people who listen to his podcast, the reason he's the most popular podcaster is people themselves ask themselves questions because he asks the stupid questions for us. So, everyone here, I'm going to recap all of what we discussed and also bring up the 3 layers, which is kind of a way for me to teach and explain what it means to believe. So,
Yeah.
layer 1, God is his own layer. He's the layer that humans cannot consciously wrap their heads and understand because they are not, in some sense, able to comprehend it, given he's only given us a certain amount of conscious awareness that allows us to understand, which is layer 2. That is the layer where he's able to teach us, where we're able to just barely be conscious enough to understand, which is the biblical architecture in the Bible, and many other learnings from, I would say, miracles, like great geniuses of the world who are biblical kind of standards of what it really means to believe. And I would say some of those people are, in his eyes, I mean, in my eyes, chosen by God. Chosen by God. And 3rd layer is the human layer that is like moment to moment. We're aware every moment of life, but we also are unconscious a lot of it. So this is the layer of just like us talking the podcast. We're on this layer where we are trying to teach each other. Basically, if we are truly honest and we can disagree with each other, but we are always the honestest that is possible to each other in a disagreement, then we will teach each other the ways to learn to walk with God in layer 3 and 2, or 2 and then 3. So then we fully understand that. And that is why it is so important, to be honest. I think that is a principle to always go by, because being honest is an adventure. This is, in a sense, an adventure is we don't know what's going to happen, but we also have a hope that is always there. It's like you have a hope, you have a belief constantly with you, while also not knowing what's going to happen next. It is, being honest is that in itself. Being honest while being disagreeable. Because with honesty comes disagreements. People are going to disagree. So if we're both disagreeing, we're going to be able to teach each other our own ways. Then we can teach each other layer 2, the biblical ways, and other great geniuses, and how we've all figured it out together about what it means to bridge the gap from layer of human layer, conscious, to layer 1, God. And that is my take on kind of the 3 layers of what it takes to believe. And so we're going to round this off, everyone, in the podcast. We're going to round this off with Nick. So do you have any last words to say?
Any last words? Bruh, man, it's been a great first episode being on here. You know, I got to sit back and take a little nap. And, you know, it's been awesome. I've been playing Minecraft as well while listening. That's always fun. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Nick H1Z1 on the voice, you feel me?
John, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Thank you everybody for watching this podcast. And go follow the Instagram, Livewire, Livewire, the podcast. And if you want to, go look at Nick H1C1 videos on YouTube.
That's a shout out, everyone.
Yeah, bro.
Go to the video.
Shout
Let's
out.
go. New video coming out tonight. Oh my god, bro.
Nick, of what? If you don't mind to say, oh.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys, new video come out. I actually can't spoil it. I actually cannot spoil it. If you guys are listening on this podcast, you would know about my videos. If you guys watch the videos, you would know. But I'm not gonna tell you guys. You guys have to find that out. I'll pass it on to JP. Go ahead and say what you got. Do your thing, man.
Thank you for listening on our very first episode. And that is a cut.